Hi, my natural hair divas. It is Sunday. And what I wanted to talk to you all about is moisture. I've been getting a lot of questions as to how do I know my hair needs more moisture, or my hair is so dry, I really need moisture in my hair. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about moisture when it comes to natural hair. It's one of the biggest components in dealing with natural hair. Okay, anytime when you have texture in your hair, that means you're prone to severe dryness and possibly needing more moisture in your hair. And especially if you have a tighter curl pattern, 9 times out of 10, you're probably lacking a lot of moisture. So I'm here to talk to you about what you need to be looking for as far as whether you need more moisture or whether you just simply dehydrated, just simply dry. Okay, so the first question I've gotten was, how do I know I need more moisture? Well, first of all, when you get ready to pull your hair, like so, when you pull it out, does it bounce right back? That's one of the questions you need to ask yourself. Does that curl come right back to its original form? If it doesn't, and it just basically just lags there and not do anything, that means you're probably more than likely are lacking moisture. And this is the whole concept of that. Basically, we're also really talking about elasticity in the hair. That ability to be able to bounce back to its natural form. It's like thinking about like a rubber band. When that rubber band is fresh and, you can stretch it as far as you want it, and it's still going to snap right back to the very basic, to the very rare form that it's supposed to be in. You don't have to worry about it getting out of shape. You don't have to worry about it coming out of its form. If it's a fresh rubber band, you pull it as tight as you want to, but it's going to bounce right back. So that's what we're saying about elasticity. And elasticity is the matter of having moisture in your hair. You need that moisture for that flexibility and that elasticity. So with that also being said, elasticity, like I said, is a huge contributing factor to your actual moisture of your hair. The more moisture you have, the more flexibility your hair will have. So think of it like a tree limb. When you go out and pluck a branch off of a tree or a bush, and you start to bend that actual tree limb, you notice there's a flexibility there, but there's also a lot of moisture. Now, as time goes on, you will start to see that actual moisture is leaving that particular branch, and the flexibility of that branch is minimized as well. And if you try to bend it, it's going to start to crack. It's going to start to break eventually, and eventually it's just going to break off into smaller pieces each time you're doing that. So basically, think about your hair like that little tree limb. Your hair does the same thing. If it has the moisture that it needs, you'll get the flexibility that you need from your hair. But as time goes on, you start to lose that moisture. And more, you're starting to break the actual hair strands itself. Okay, so you have to constantly keep putting that moisture back in to give it that flexibility, to give it that elasticity that your hair really and truly needs to stay healthy. So what do you do about it? Well, first thing you need to do for sure is to check the porosity level of your hair. Now, there's 3 different levels. There's your actual high, your low, and your medium. Okay. And basically, if you're high porosity, your hair is saying, I'm getting a lot of moisture. I'm letting the moisture and everything that needs to come to the hair shaft, through the hair shaft, I'm letting it all in, but it's also leaving. So even though you're putting all the moisture in it, it comes out just as fast. So think of your hair as this. When your hair needs its moisture, when your hair is on a high porosity, the cuticles are like this. So sure, everything is going to come on, everything is going to go inside of it, but it's also going to leave out. Everything's going to leave from it too. So when I hear women say, you know, hey, you know, I'm putting everything in it, I'm putting everything in it, but for whatever reason, it still doesn't feel like it's being moisturized, or they're having a bit of frizz problem, that's where it comes from. Your hair has a high porosity level. Now, on the other side of that is low porosity. Now, low porosity is where basically barely anything is getting in. Okay, it's the cuticles are so tight that there's nothing can actually penetrate the actual cuticle itself. It's nothing going to penetrate it. So really, you have your hair and it's like this for the most part. It's so tight that you can't get anything in. So even though you're putting all this product in there, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. It's like no soon as, you know, you put it on there, 30 minutes later it's gone, you know, or it doesn't feel like you did anything at all, or it seemed as though like it's just sitting on the hair causing a coating. And now you got this really like rough feeling that goes on the hair and you're like, I don't know where that's coming from. That's below porosity. That you're just, it's nothing getting in, it's just sitting on top of the hair. Now the ideal porosity is medium. Medium is where you can actually get just enough to get in there, but it actually holds a few in there as well. It holds a little bit more in there than something like this. So you got just enough to get some in and not too much to let anything out. So what do you do about that? Okay, so what do you do about it? What you actually can do is deep conditioning. A lot of people fall under two categories. Either one, they're deep conditioning all the time and too much, or they're not deep conditioning enough because they feel like, well, why do I need to do that? I put conditioner on my hair. I don't need to do that. But what the deep conditioner actually does is actually gives you that extra incentive to the hair. It goes a little bit deeper than a normal conditioner where you just basically you're putting it on the hair to get some pliability, to make it manageable, to actually, you know, comb through. Whereas the deep conditioner is actually the treatment itself. So if you're dealing with a high porosity issue, what you need is more of a protein-based deep conditioner. Okay, and what that'll do is actually just fill in those little holes and those gaps that you have on your cuticle, and it will allow the hair to be able to seal in all what it needs a little bit better. Okay, now if you're low porosity, what you need is more of a moisture base. Okay, and probably a good clarifier, because what happens is you may have a coating on your actual hair shaft, and you need to be able to lift all that up so that you can get some things in. So a regular moisture and maybe even a clarifying deep conditioner would work well with you as well. Now, each of these deep conditioner needs to have some heat, because heat is what actually opens up the cuticle a little bit more. Okay, so you would need to sit under the dryer with this deep conditioner for maybe about roughly 15 to 20 minutes, depending on your hair type. And then you would want to come out from under the dryer and let it cool for about 10 minutes. And when you rinse this, make sure you rinse it with cool water. Okay, not hot, but cool water. And what that does, it seals the cuticle. It closes up the cuticle a little bit more so that everything that you've put in it and all that you've done to the hair shaft can be sealed and tightened. Okay, now the ideal again is medium. That's the ideal level. You have just enough balance of protein and moisture to get what the hair really needs. Okay, now if you have a pretty medium porosity in your hair, that means then, okay, you got just enough what you need to keep the moisture in, and you may have enough strength in the hair to kind of do what it needs to do. Okay, so you probably won't need to do this deep conditioner maybe no more than once a month at best. But for those high and low porosity people, I suggest at least twice a month for a good 3 months, no longer than that. Okay, and then you can start doing your normal conditioning routine. Okay, so what products do you use? All right, well, if you're dealing with a moisture issue, if you really need more moisture in your hair, you should really work on products that have the jojobas, the actual argan oils, the lighter essential oils work best on for moisture, because those actual oils penetrates the cuticle a little bit better because the molecules are smaller, and as well as they bring in moisture from the elements into the hair itself. If you're dealing with just mostly a dryness, then you probably would want to go with the actual oils itself, such as, coconut, shea, things of that nature. And honestly, a combination of both will actually help the hair. But you should always make sure, though, you treat the issue first before doing this, because again, you can be causing a more issue if you're trying to do one or the other. So treat the problem first. And then once you've gotten the problem taken care of, then come in with a combination of both. A few oils as well as your essential oils, so that you're getting the best of both worlds. And lastly, what do you do? What products can you use then to keep your hair from continuing to be dry? Well, I definitely suggest you to not use gels, or at least at a minimum. Gels usually have a lot more alcohol in them, and so therefore that alcohol can cause a lot of dryness to the actual hair itself. So try to lean more towards the cream products that have all the essential oils that you really need. And just minimize the gel. Like, I personally use a little bit of gel in my products because I might want that definition, that, the holding power, but I use a lot of my creams. And so therefore, my hair is getting the best of both worlds in that way. So I hope that helps you. If you want to learn more about porosity level, you can always, Google porosity levels of the hair. There's actual little tests that you can do that will allow you to check to see which one are you, and then go from there. Please leave any comments. Please ask me any questions that you need. I'm also here to do consultations, private consultations as well. Just leave me a comment, or you can DM me, and I will be glad to help you out with that. Okay, and also be on the lookout. I am also going to be doing a webinar for all of my natural hair divas who wants to be a little bit more experimental and want to learn a little bit more about their hair products and hair textures and hair. They want to be a true expert in their own hair. They want their hair to get exactly the way they want it to get there. So if you really are interested in that, stay tuned. I am definitely going to be preparing for that webinar for all of my natural hair divas as well. All right. So thank you so much. I appreciate you listening in on this video. More to come, and have a blessed Sunday. Bye-bye.